Look, let's be brutally honest for a second. You've stood there, haven't you? Shoes in one bin, laptop in another, belt coiled up like a sleeping snake, watching the TSA officer with the focused intensity of a bomb disposal expert. Your mind races through a frantic inventory. Is that half-empty water bottle still in my bag? Did I leave my pocket knife in the wrong jacket? What about the weird artisanal jam my aunt gave me? We've all been there, in that peculiar modern purgatory between the airport terminal and the jet bridge, where the rules feel both draconian and utterly mystifying. It's a place where a 3-ounce bottle of face cream is fine, but a 4-ounce one is a threat to national security. Where you can bring a cake, but if it's got too much frosting, it might be a gel. It's absurd, it's frustrating, and if you don't understand the logic, or more importantly, the reality behind it, it can turn your trip into a costly, stressful nightmare. So here's my question for you, and I genuinely want to know because your experience is probably as wild as mine. What's the single most confusing or ridiculous thing you've ever seen someone try to get through TSA security, or that you've personally been stopped for? Go ahead and tell me in the comments right now. I read every single one, because while you're sharing that, I'm going to start unpacking the whole maddening, intricate world of what the TSA actually allows versus what it forbids. And trust me, by the time we're done, you're going to see that security line in a whole new light. Stick with me, because some of what's coming up will flat out surprise you, and it might just save you from a huge headache next time you fly. First, we need to reset our entire understanding of the TSA. Most people think of it as a monolithic entity with a simple list of yes and no items. That's your first mistake. The TSA is not a robot. It's a system operated by human beings with discretion, training, bad days, good days, and a primary mission that has nothing to do with your shampoo. Their mission is to prevent catastrophic events on aircraft. Everything they do filters through that lens. So when you're fuming because they're throwing away your expensive artisan honey, they're not thinking about your breakfast. They're thinking about the amorphous, gel-like, easily concealable substances that could be used to make an improvised explosive device. The reasoning might seem infuriatingly broad, but once you see the world from their checkpoint, the puzzle starts to make a twisted kind of sense. It's a system of risk management, not convenience management. Let's start with the most iconic of all TSA battles. Liquids, the 311 rule, you know it. 3.4-ounce, 100 ml bottles, in one quart-sized clear bag, one bag per passenger. But here's where the human reality crashes into the printed rule. The rule exists because of the 2006 transatlantic aircraft plot, where terrorists plan to use liquid explosives disguised as drinks. So the limit is about volume. But TSA officers aren't sitting there with graduated cylinders. They're using a heuristic the size of the bottle. If your bottle says 4 Oz, even if it's only half full, it's forbidden. It's the container size that matters. Now the weird gray areas. What about a solid stick deodorant? That's fine. Unlimited. A gel deodorant. That's a liquid gel, so it must comply. What about a jar of peanut butter? This is the classic traveler's trap. Peanut butter, frosting, hummus, creamy cheese. These are what the TSA calls spreadables. And guess what? They are treated as liquids. Yes, your chunky peanut butter is a liquid in the eyes of TSA. It's about the consistency and the potential to be manipulated. I've seen people have full-on arguments about the physics of viscosity at the checkpoint. They lose every time. The officer's discretion is final. If they can spill, spread, smear, or pump it, it's likely a gel. But then, what about something like a frozen gel ice pack? Here's a nuance. If it's frozen solid when you present it, it's allowed. If it's slushy or partially melted, it's a liquid and subject to 311. So someone flying out of Miami and someone flying out of Minneapolis with the same ice pack could have two different outcomes. This is the kind of real-world variability that drives people insane. You must think about the state of the item at the precise moment it goes through the X-ray, which is why the golden rule of TSA is, if you absolutely cannot bear to lose it, don't put it in your carry-on. Check it. Food leads us down a fascinating rabbit hole. You can bring virtually any solid food through security. Sandwiches, fruit, vegetables, cooked meat, baked goods. I've carried on everything from a full Thanksgiving turkey, cold obviously, to a bag of lemons. But the moment that food is in a sauce, a soup, a dressing, or is itself a creamy substance, we're back in liquid gel territory. That pasta salad with a mayo-based dressing, the dressing is the problem. The cheese in your lasagna, if it's very saucy, problem. A single yogurt cup over 3.4 Oz problem. This is why so many people get caught. They think food is fine, not realizing the TSA categorizes by physical property, not culinary purpose. Now let's talk about the real moneymakers for the concessionaires. Beverages. You cannot bring any liquid beverage through the checkpoint if it's over 3.4 Oz, full stop. This includes bottled water, soda, coffee, smoothies, you name it. The number of people I see trying to chug a $5 airport water bottle before binning it is a daily tragedy. Here's a pro tip. Bring an empty water bottle. A metal one, a plastic one, doesn't matter, as long as it's empty. Go through security, then fill it at a water fountain or a bottle filling station. You save money, you stay hydrated, and you avoid the dreaded last-minute chug. The same goes for a travel coffee mug. Empty is fine. Full is a grenade in the eyes of the X-ray. Alcohol is a special subcategory. You can bring alcohol in your carry-on if it's under 3.4 Oz and fits in your liquids bag. You can also bring alcohol that's over 3.4 Oz, but only in your checked baggage. And there are FAA limits on alcohol by volume, generally under 140 proof and quantity. But here's the twist. You cannot under any circumstances consume your own alcohol on the plane. Flight attendants are the absolute law in the cabin, and federal regulations prohibit consuming alcohol not served by the airline. Trying to sneak a nip from your carry-on bottle will get you in serious trouble, potentially meeting the air marshal upon landing. Medications. This is critical and where you must be your own advocate. The TSA explicitly states that medications, in any form, liquid, gel, pill, are exempt from the 311 rule. You can bring liquid medication in quantities greater than 3.4 ounces. But, and this is a huge but, you must declare them to the officer at the start of the screening process. Don't just bury a giant bottle of cough syrup in your bag, pull it out, place it in a bin separately, and say, "I have liquid medication to declare." They may need to do additional screening, like a quick vapor test, but they cannot deny you your necessary medication. The same goes for medically necessary gels, like ice packs for insulin or nutritional supplements. Have them clearly marked and declared. This is one area where the rules are actually on your side, but you have to follow the procedure. Insulin, epinephrine pens, inhalers, all allowed. I recommend keeping them in their original pharmacy-labeled containers, not just for TSA, but for any questions that might arise during your travels. Now, on to the hard stuff. Weapons. This seems obvious, but you would not believe what people forget in their bags. Guns are forbidden in carry-on bags. Full stop. Yet, thousands are caught every year because people forget they're in there. Here's the reality. If you have a gun, it must be in your checked baggage, unloaded, locked in a hard-sided case, and declared to the airline at check-in. The ammunition must be stored separately in its original packaging or a proper container. If you show up at the checkpoint with a gun in your backpack, you are not walking to your gate. You are likely getting arrested, fined heavily, we're talking thousands of dollars, and possibly losing your trusted traveler status, like pre-check forever. It is an administrative and legal nightmare. The same logic applies to the broader category of weapon-like items. This is where travelers get tripped up by seemingly innocent things. That souvenir katana from Japan? Not in carry-on. Martial arts throwing stars? No. Baseball bats? Generally no, though some little league-sized ones have been debated. Tools are a massive gray area. A screwdriver under 7 inches is usually okay, a wrench under 7 inches is okay, but anything that could be used as a bludgeon or a lever, like a crowbar or a tire iron, is out. Power tools generally need to go in checked baggage, and any with fuel cells or batteries have their own labyrinth of rules. The rule of thumb is simple. If you look at an item and think, "I could hurt someone with this in a confined space," it's probably not allowed in the cabin. Sharp objects, another area of endless confusion. Scissors. Metal scissors with blades shorter than 4 inches from the pivot point are allowed. Longer than that, not allowed. Knives. This is the big one. For years after 9/11, no knives. Then there was a brief controversial period where small knives were proposed to be allowed. That was rolled back. Today, no knives of any kind in your carry-on, with the rarest of exceptions for plastic or round-bladed butter knives. Your Swiss Army knife with a 2-inch blade? Not allowed. Your expensive fishing knife? Not allowed. Your ceremonial kirpan? This requires coordination with TSA and the airline well in advance, as it involves religious accommodation and specific procedures. Don't just show up with it. Forbidden items also include box cutters, ice picks, razor blades, except disposable razors where the blade is embedded in a cartridge, and sabers. I once saw a man try to bring an antique dueling pistol, unloaded and obviously non-functional, in his carry-on. He did not make his flight. Self-defense items. This is a hard no in carry-ons. Pepper spray, mace, tasers, stun guns, martial arts weapons, kubatons, all forbidden. Some, like small keychain pepper spray containers, under a certain volume and with a safety mechanism, are allowed in checked baggage, but you must declare them. Check the specific airline and TSA rules. It's never worth the risk of assuming. Now for the fun part, the bizarre and unexpected. You can bring a full-sized cake or pie through security. I've done it. They might swab it for explosives, but it's allowed. You can bring a frozen whole turkey. You can bring a bowling ball. You can bring a musical instrument, even a large one like a guitar or cello. The TSA has policies to screen them, and airlines are required by law to allow them as carry-ons if they fit in the overhead bin or a closet. You can bring a bag of live fish or seafood as long as it's in a clear, spill-proof container and you declare it. You can bring a hoverboard, but only in your carry-on, because their lithium batteries are forbidden in checked baggage. Which brings us to the single most important and evolving category in modern air travel: batteries and electronics. Lithium-ion batteries, the kind in your phone, laptop, tablet, vape, toothbrush, and camera, are a massive safety concern because they can overheat and cause fires. Therefore, the rules are strict and non-negotiable. Spare batteries, including power banks, must be in your carry-on baggage. Never, ever check them in your suitcase. Why? Because a fire in the cabin can be noticed and dealt with by the crew. A fire in the cargo hold can be catastrophic. Batteries must be protected from short circuits by keeping the terminals taped or in their original retail packaging. Devices with installed batteries can go in either carry-on or checked, but I always recommend carry-on. Airlines have the right to refuse devices with damaged batteries. And what about those huge external laptop charging bricks? They're fine. E-cigarettes and vapes are allowed in carry-on, but absolutely forbidden from use on the plane or charging on the plane. They too cannot go in checked baggage due to fire risk. Now the electronics ritual: laptops and larger electronics. Standard TSA procedure at most standard lanes requires you to remove any electronics larger than a cell phone and place them in a bin alone, with nothing on top or underneath. This means laptops, tablets, e-readers, portable DVD players, game consoles, and yes, even that massive DSLR camera with a big lens. The reasoning is for a clear X-ray image. The TSA pre-check golden ticket? You usually don't have to remove them at all. But here's a nuance. The definition of larger than a cell phone is subjective. I've seen officers ask for Kindles to be pulled out, and I've seen them let small tablets slide. When in doubt, take it out. The new CT scanners being rolled out at some airports might eventually eliminate this need. But for now, it's the ritual. Let's talk about gifts and wrapped presents. My advice: do not wrap them. If a wrapped present triggers an alarm during screening, the officer will unwrap it. They will not rewrap it. They will not find you some more paper. It will be undone. Either wrap it after you land or use a gift bag that can be easily opened and inspected. Snow globes, the classic airport souvenir. If it's less than 3.4 ounces of liquid, about the size of a tennis ball, it can go in your liquids bag. If it's bigger, it's a no-go for carry-on. The base size doesn't matter, it's the volume of liquid inside. Good luck figuring that out without breaking it. When in doubt, check it or ship it. Sporting equipment. This is a universe of its own. Golf clubs? Checked only. Baseball bats? Checked only. Hockey sticks? Checked only. Pool cues? You guessed it, checked only. But a tennis racket? That's allowed in carry-on. The line seems arbitrary, but again, it's about the potential for use as a blunt weapon. Skis and snowboards can be checked, but their poles usually must go with them. Bicycles require special packaging and often a fee. Firearms for hunting or sport follow the same strict checked baggage rules as any other gun. Always call your airline ahead of time for sporting equipment. Their rules and fees are often more restrictive than TSA's. Now, the human element. The checkpoint is a performance and you are an actor. Your behavior matters almost as much as your bags. Officers are trained in behavioral detection. They're not just looking at the X-ray screen, they're looking at you. Are you sweating profusely, avoiding eye contact, overly aggressive or nervous, telling a joke to cover anxiety? These can all, in theory, trigger additional screening. The best approach is calm, polite, and prepared. Have your ID and boarding pass ready. Follow instructions. If you're selected for additional screening, a pat-down, a swab of your hands and bags for explosive residue, a more thorough bag search, comply calmly. A pat-down is not personal, it's procedure. You can request it to be done in a private area and by an officer of your gender. You can ask for a supervisor at any time. But becoming belligerent is the fastest way to turn a routine check into an extended interview with law enforcement. I've seen it happen. A man yelling about his rights while his family waited at the gate, missing their flight. Knowing your rights is good. Exercising them with belligerence in a high-security environment is a strategic error. What about children's items? Formula, breast milk, toddler drinks, baby food? These are all exempt from the 311 rule. Even in quantities greater than 3.4 ounces, you must declare them for inspection. They may be tested, but they cannot be denied. Juice for your kid? Allowed. This is a sensible accommodation. Strollers and car seats can go through the X-ray, or they can be visually and physically inspected. They do not count as your carry-on item. Forbidden items often have a disposal option. If you accidentally bring a prohibited item, you usually have choices. You can take it back to your car if you have time. You can surrender it to TSA for destruction. You can mail it to yourself from some airports. They have postal services for this. Or you can give it to a non-traveling companion. The bin of surrendered items at checkpoints is a museum of human forgetfulness. Endless bottles of water, perfume, giant shampoo, pocket knives, and the occasional truly bewildering item like a chainsaw blade or a claymore mine. Yes, it has happened. The real secret to mastering TSA isn't just memorizing a list, it's about mindset. You are entering a high-throughput security system designed to catch threats, not to make your travel pleasant. Pack with that in mind. Use the checkpoint-friendly laptop bag that lays flat. Keep your liquids bag at the very top of your carry-on. Wear shoes you can slip off easily. Don't wear a belt with a giant metal buckle or excessive jewelry. Put all your loose change, keys, and phone in your bag before you get to the bins. The smoother you make the process for the officer, the smoother it will go for you. And remember, the rules change. Not drastically, but they evolve. New threats emerge, new technologies are deployed. The small bottle of snow from your kid's first snowman might be fine one year and raise eyebrows the next if there's a new concern about crystalline substances. The final authority is always the TSA officer at your lane, on that day, at that airport. So the next time you're in line, watching the chaos unfold, you'll understand the silent calculus happening. You'll know why the family ahead is having their jam confiscated, why the business traveler is getting a pat-down for forgetting a stray coin in his pocket, and why you, prepared and calm, are sailing through. It's a game of knowledge, preparation, and psychology. Pack smart, be cool, and the metal detector becomes just a doorway, not an ordeal. And honestly, after all these years and millions of miles, I still double-check my liquids bag, because the only thing more predictable than the rules is the human capacity to forget them at the worst possible moment. Safe travels.